not looking too good. Last night we was at the well. It was me and a few other truck drivers, and the discussion about what are we going to do for e-loads came up. And you know, everybody has been told pretty much the same thing. You know, they got to install the e-loads in the truck. They have to, the e-loads have to plug into the truck through the adapter system. And we pretty much see all of us losing money. We think they need to come up with some type of day rate, or some truck drivers even suggest you getting paid by the hour. Y'all know how I feel about getting paid by the hour. I think it's a pay cut. By the way, we are at the shipper. It's early morning. Picking up a few loads today. We're going about 15 miles. It's paying about $309 to the owner operator. I get 25% of that, which is like $77, $78. And we're gonna pretty much run this until we run out of fuel. No, we're gonna run this until our 11-hour clock is up for the sensitive drivers out there. So in 11 hours, we will be sure to pull on the side of the road and get them triangles out for 10 hours. As you can see, no one is at the shipper. Like I stated in some of my previous videos, a lot of people assume that we are waiting in long lines out here, and it couldn't be any further from the truth. Only time we wait in line is if the shipper is having a problem, which means the train is probably running late, or one of the silos went down, or either truck went in the silo and the machine missed the trailer and sand went all over the place and they gotta clean it up, you know, things like that. But pretty much it's an in and out process. Come to the silo, you check in. It takes about 2 minutes to check in. Basically on the screen, it asks you for your truck trailer number, PO number. You just type that in. It'll give you a ticket. You come around here to the silo like I'm doing now, and you scan. Basically, you take the ticket and you'll scan it on the machine up there to the left, and that's it. You know, contact the tower on the CB radio. I gotta actually open my trailer doors right here. But basically, we contact them on the radio, and they will line us up, tell us what we need to do. Enter the silo. They'll tell you which silo to go to. You'll get loaded. It takes about 5 minutes to get loaded, maybe even less than that. It's pretty quick.
All right.
But like I was saying, me and some other truck drivers was talking at the well last night, and we got some serious issues out here that we're dealing with. And like I told y'all, if y'all planning on coming out here and making a lot of money, you may want to wait till after e-laws, because the money may not be here anymore. I know a lot of y'all want to come kind of last minute. You know, I've been here since July. Here it is, almost December, and some of y'all are just now figuring out how much money some of us is making out here, and it's kind of too late. You know, the e-loads are coming, and I can hear right now, I can just hear what other truck drivers are saying, but I don't understand. With e-loads you drive 11 hours, and with paper loads you drive 11 hours. I don't understand, how does e-loads affect you? Well, that's what happens when you are stuck at the bottom of the trucking industry. You just don't know, and I don't know what to tell you. You know, we drive 11 hours, and you know, we got a 14-hour clock too on paper loads, and when it ends, we pull over and we go to sleep for 10 straight hours, just like everybody else. You know, and that is what it is. But this particular load right here, like I said, is going 15 miles, and pretty much the the well is open 24 hours and the shipper is open 24 hours. And my truck stays on 24 hours because, I don't turn my truck off because it's kind of cold outside and I got to, run the heating system. Yeah, the heating system because, it can drop below, 30 degrees. And if you turn the truck off, you go to sleep, you may wake up sick. So you got to keep that heating system going to heat up that bunk while you're on your 10-hour break, right? So yeah, that's pretty much why my truck doesn't really turn off. It turns off sometimes. Like if I gotta get fuel, then we turn the truck off, or maybe I go to the truck stop and I park for a minute to go inside. I turn the truck off then, of course. And you don't want to just leave it around. It's wasting fuel. We don't want to waste no fuel, right? By the way, just finished getting loaded. We are taking that ticket down here to this other machine to the left, and basically we just take the ticket, scan it on the machine, and it gives us our bill of lading, and that's it. It's that simple. It's too simple. It's easy. That's why there's no one here, because as soon as you get here, it's just in and out. It's just fast. There's no waiting. I mean, especially at nighttime. I mean, usually during the daytime, you'll see a truck or two here, but I don't know. I guess, I don't know. Maybe the drivers are gone home for Thanksgiving. Maybe I don't know what's going on. Usually, you'll see a couple of trucks here, but we are taking off towards the shipper. Like I said, it's only 15 miles away, pretty much around the corner. But back to the E-Log discussion. If y'all don't know what a pneumatic trailer is, there it is right there to the right. That's what a pneumatic trailer is. That's what it looks like. That's Agility Energy. I don't know anything about them whatsoever. I heard about them, but matter of fact, I see them a lot on Craigslist, but they never interested me. I think it was for owner operators only, but I'm not too sure. Wait a minute. No, I do know something about Agility Energy. Somebody told me you only need 1 year of experience to work for them, and they actually pay just as decent as everybody else that's not a mega carrier. So I don't know if it's true or not. You can look into it, I guess. But like I said, E-Laws is coming, so back to the conversation. So how will E-Laws affect us out here in the oil field? We figure, we're doing about, we're doing enough loads right now, right? With E-Laws, we figure we can do maybe 2 loads a day. That's $200 a day. You're not going to be able to drive for 7 days. You're either going to be able to drive for 5 days or 6 days, because you working 14 hours a day. 14 times 5, that's 70 hours. Eventually you got to do a reset. So that gives you 6 days a week to run. Now I know what you're thinking. You can probably do 8 hours a day. Now that's how the mega carriers got y'all thinking. Out here is 14 hours a day, okay? Why is it 14 hours a day? Because the well is 24 hours. The well has to have sand coming all 24 hours of the day. So, I work for a small carrier, and we have our own direct contract with Halliburton. We only got about 10 trucks, guys. So 10 trucks, 10 drivers, and E-Laws is this is what the owner told us, okay? He said, look, I don't know what we're gonna do for E-Laws. I'm gonna put them in a truck, and we're gonna see how it goes. And basically what he think is gonna happen is, if we can't meet the demand that the customer wants, basically what the customer is going to do is cancel the contract and go find a large and mega carrier that can supply the trucks. And right now he thinks that's 1845. That's a mega carrier out here. Pretty much they got the most trucks out here. He think they're gonna take over all the contracts from the smaller carriers who can no longer move their trucks due to e-logs. So, you know, it is what it is. We will be making a right turn here. Every time I get to the stop sign, I take a look at the weigh station over to the right-hand corner. I'm gonna make this turn. What I'm looking for is I'm making sure no one is in the weigh station. It's actually to the left. I think is a truckers parked over there? Believe it or not, it is truckers for whatever reason. They will park at the weigh station and go to sleep. And the crazy thing about it is, there it is right there to the left. The crazy thing about it is, when the DOT shows up, those guys are the first persons they inspect. They inspect your truck right there. We done had some drivers that then made that mistake and they're no longer here because they racked up so many points they had to be fired. Why would you sleep at the weigh station? Oh, let me guess, you came from the mega carriers. You was brainwashed and thinking as long as the friggin' e-log's up to date, everything is fine. No, everything is not fine. You driving an oil field truck. It's not fine at all. You start inspecting your truck, nothing is fine. By the way, nothing in this video is fact. I'm just talking trash, right? But I'm gonna let y'all go here. I'm gonna play some maybe some motivation music. And this is pretty much a short run. This is basically what we do. Like I said, it's paying $77 a load, and it's in and out. And this is what we do for 24 hours. Not the truck don't move for 24 hours. What I'm saying is the shipper is open for 24 hours, and the receiver is accepting loads 24 hours. But of course, at the end of the 14-hour clock, we shut down on the side of the road with our flashes on and triangles out. But anyways, I will catch y'all later.
Think of this for a moment. All that's required to put the science of getting rich to work in your life is a decision. Now, do you know, most people will look at that and they'll say there's got to be more to it than that. How many of you have been trying to earn a lot of money for quite a long time? How many have difficulty yet? Do you know, 1% of the population earn about 95 or 96% of all the money that's being earned. And it's a subject that is not taught in school. And when someone comes along and tells you all you have to do is make a decision, we have a difficult time buying into it because we probably worked fairly hard attempting to earn money. Now, I stumbled on this information around 43 years ago. I have been absolutely fascinated with it ever since. It takes up all my days. Some people ask me, what are your hobbies? Just studying this subject. That's all I do. And I have worked all over the world with this, and it doesn't really matter where you go. You can go into different countries, into different cultures. When you get past the culture, people are essentially the same. And I think we all want generally much the same thing. I had a man sit down with me in 1961, and he put an R on the sheet of paper just like what you're looking at there. Then he put 3 letters down beside it. And he said, Bob, let that represent happiness, health, and wealth. And then he asked me if I thought he was a happy guy. And I said, yeah, he seemed pretty happy to me, and he did. He said, have you ever seen me when I was sick? And I had to admit I hadn't. He said, have you ever seen me when I was broke? And again, I had to admit I hadn't. Well, he said, you've got to be one of the most miserable people that I've ever met. And I was an unhappy guy. I was 26, as I look back at it, I think I was an unhappy kid that just grew up and stayed that way. And I believe a lot of people live that way. There's a lot of unhappy people around. I didn't have a terminal illness, but I always had a cold or a headache or a backache or something. And when it came to money, I mean, I had a problem. You see, as he said to me, he says, you're striking out in all of these areas. I was actually earning $4,000 a year at the time, and I owed $6,000. Now, you know, that's not an uncommon position for a person to be in. If I took everything I earned for 18 months, nothing to live on, and just paid debt, I would have just broken even. So when you look at that, you know, there's not a lot of hope. I don't think I ever thought I'd get out of debt. It never entered my mind that I could. I never really thought of earning a lot of money. I was just trying to keep the wolf away from the door. You know, the phone would ring every day, tell them I'm not there, you know, or where's the money? And hell, I thought if I knew where the money was, you wouldn't have to phone me. This was a constant problem. I have often said that you'll be absolutely amazed how much free time you have when you never have to think about money. Do you know that people spend an enormous amount of time thinking about money if they haven't got it? Now, if you have got it, it's a totally different story. And I really believed, I was raised with the idea, if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. If you're going to earn a lot of money, you have to have a great education. You have to have a lot of experience. But that's not what this man told me. Now, that's the man that I sat down with. His name was Raymond Douglas Stanford. Now, he's been gone for a long time. But that guy made a bigger difference in my life than anyone that has come into my life since then. Now, the little boy that he's holding, I named Raymond Douglas Proctor. That's my son. Now, that little boy today is 6'5". He weighs 240 pounds, and he has no hair. He has 3 little boys that are all bigger than him. So you see, I'm going back quite a ways. But this guy, he really woke me up. He asked me some good questions, and he got me thinking. Now, this is the one thing he asked me. He said, or suggested, and I found this in a book by Vince Rovazzi over here in Philadelphia. He said, to change your life, you have to change your life. Now, that sounds like a play on words. It did to me the first time I looked at it, but that's not a play on words. That is so basic, and it's so misunderstood. Because it's an inside job. And we're forever trying to change things outside, and that's not where it's at. We keep gathering information, and it doesn't do it. I think once we get hooked on the idea of developing ourselves, we never get away from it. And the people that are not hooked on the idea, they think we're a little crazy. But I wouldn't want to live in the world they're living in. You know, back in 1970, I had the pleasure of being on a program in Chicago with just an incredible man. He wrote a book called The True Believer, Eric Hoffer. And he said something on that program that stuck in my mind. He said, in times of change, the learners will inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with the world that no longer exists. Now, run that through your mind for a couple of minutes. In times of change, the learners will inherit the earth. I took that to be metaphorical, that we'll be happy, healthy, and prosperous, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with the world that no longer exists. To see, there's no such thing as a learned individual. There's no such thing as an educated individual. That's a misnomer. We're either learning or we're not. Napoleon Hill talks about education coming from the Latin educo, meaning to educe, to develop, or to draw out from within. So you see, we don't even have to get anything. Yes, we really start to understand what makes everything happen. We're going to find out that we've already got everything we need. It's simply a matter of becoming aware of it. And so Ray suggested this to me, and then he introduced me to the book. Now, the book was Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. I have never stopped reading this book. The book that I carry with me, I've been carrying since 1963, and I read it every day. Now, I think Hubbard pointed out that when you read a good book through the second time, you don't see something in it you didn't see before. You see something in yourself that wasn't there before. Yeah, you see, it's the repetition of the right information that'll really alter what's going on inside, and that's what you have to do. Everybody thinks it's something outside we have to change. We have to change companies. We have to change cities. We have to change jobs. You got to change it inside. If you don't change it inside, nothing happens. Well, I got into that book and I started to study. Now, he said there's a secret in that book. And he said if you find a secret in the book, you can have anything you seriously want. Well, I thought that was a gross exaggeration. You can have anything you want. Let me put it in proper perspective for you. I was 26. I had 2 months high school formal education. I had no business experience. I had an absolutely terrible work record. And here I'm reading that you can have anything you want. Now, there's so much about ourselves that we don't know. And as I started to read this book, he said, there's a secret. You can give anything you want if you find the secret. Well, that was sort of like trying to sell me on the tooth fairy. And of course, I was 26. I thought I was pretty cool. I thought I was wide awake, And actually, I was in a deep hypnotic trance. And I was ready to reject it. But Ray said to me, he said, listen. He said, you're not very happy. He said, you're not the healthiest guy in town. You're always broke. Now, he said, I found out something about money, and he pulled out a big wad of money. He always carried a lot of money, and I was always fascinated with that because I never had any. But at any rate, he said, this stuff can't talk, but it can hear. And he said, if you call it, it'll come. And I thought, God, that's sort of a nice idea. And I was ready to start hollering for it. But he said, you've got to understand how to get it. And he said, you obviously don't understand. Now, he said, the author of this book studied the lives of 500 of the world's most successful people, his entire life. Then he put it in this book. Now he said, I'm inclined to think that he knows something that you don't know. Well, I think he just sort of put me in my place, you see? And so I started to read the book, and I found the secret. And the secret was so basic and simple, everything changed. Do you know, a year later, I was earning $175,000 a year, and then I took it over $1 million a year. I mean, I had money coming in from all over the place. And it happened so fast. Yes, but he said that in the book. He said, when money starts coming, it'll come so fast and so furious that you're going to wonder where it's been hiding through all those lean years. Well, boy, I thought this is it. I had it coming in from different countries, from different cities. And somebody will say, well, what were you doing? I don't think it matters what you're doing. I think what matters is how you're doing it. Do you see, Wallace Wattles wrote a book on the science of getting rich way back in 1903. He says, you don't get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things in a certain way. And I thought, Yes, you could find two people doing exactly the same thing and you couldn't see the difference. But one's doing it a certain way, the other isn't. It has to do with intent. It has to do with the energy that you're doing it with. You see, we're taught to be good little go-getters. Go-getters lose. They blow it. We want to be good little go-givers because the law says what you put out will come back. The universe will reward you by law. This is all very scientific. Yet it happens with every person every time. Now, I found the secret, and it was pretty basic. It was simply sit down, decide what you want, write it on a card, carry the card in your pocket, and read it as often as possible every day. So I wrote on the card that I wanted to have in my possession by New Year's Day of 1970. I gave myself a decade to do this deal. $25,000. I really didn't believe it would happen. But you know something? I kept reading. I don't know why, but I kept reading it. I did exactly what the author said. I kept reading the card. And I kept reading it, and I kept reading it. Now, because I kept reading it, I started to think of earning money. Prior to that, I was thinking of debt. If you had asked me, I'd have said I was thinking of earning money. I wasn't. I was thinking of debt. If your goal is to get out of debt, I guarantee you'll probably be in debt till you die. Because we become what we think about. Yet whatever you think about, you attract. You literally magnetize yourself to it. That's all I was ever thinking about was debt. But I started to think of earning money. Somebody said there's good money cleaning floors. So I said, I'm not proud. I'll clean floors. Well, I started to clean one office. Then I got another one. Do you know in less than 5 years, I was cleaning offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. The thing took off like a rocket. Now, what really changed? I think something inside shifted, but I didn't know what it was. And I bought this book and I was giving it to everybody. And nothing happened in their life. Then I got into Earl Nightingale's condensed narration of the book. And I would drive around with a portable battery-operated record player, and I would keep playing that record over and over and over again. And everybody was starting to wonder about me. Proctor's listening to this guy talk to him, and he's saying the same thing because it's on a record. I mean, he doesn't change the story. And I'm listening to this, and I'm reading the same book. I was starting to wonder about myself. But everything just kept changing, kept changing, kept changing. And I'd give the record to people, and I'd give the book to people, and nothing happened. So I reasoned that someone had to know why I changed. And they've either written it in a book or they're talking about it. So I made up my mind. I would read every book that was ever written if I had to, but I was going to find out what happened to me. So that's what we're talking about. Now, I want to suggest that you make up your mind you're going to get in what we call the success zone. It's a way of thinking. Now, get this. If 95, 96% of the population are blowing it, if 1% of the population are earning about 95% of all the money, you're not going to get a whole lot of people agree with what you're doing. Most people are going to look at you kind of strange. What are you going there for? You went there last month. What are you listening to that for? You listened to that before. What are you reading? What do you read the same book over and over for? They don't understand. And you see, they're advertising their ignorance by the questions they ask. When we get into the success zone, everything in our life starts to change. But understand this, you're going to be a bit of an odd. You're out of the box. You're not one of the masses. And when you get out of the box, your whole world starts to shift. So as we go through this, let's think. Let that little yellow dot on the screen represent your level of awareness. This represents your level of awareness. This is what you're aware of. Now, everything you've got in your life, everything, your relationships, your money, everything, is an expression of your own level of awareness. See, people that earn $50,000 a year are not earning 50 because they want 50. People are earning 50 because they're not aware of how to earn 150. People that are suffering from headaches, they're not suffering from headaches because they want to suffer from headaches. They're suffering from headaches because they're not aware of how to eliminate the headache. It's their head. They made it ache. They can make it stop. So you see, it's awareness we're after. Now think of this. If that little dot represents our awareness and it's responsible for everything we've got in life, just think of how your life could change if we magnify it just a little bit. I mean, everything would start to change. Our relationships would change. We would be healthier. We would live in healthier bodies. We would know more people. We'd earn more money. We'd be able to do more interesting things. And if we just increased it a little bit more, everything starts to shift. Well, I've been living this way now for 40 years. It absolutely fascinated me. I celebrated my 70th birthday last week. I got more energy than most people 20. I have absolutely no intentions of slowing down. People should say you should slow down. That's a bunch of crap. We should speed up. We've got more power. Do you know the most erudite scientist alive can't even guess at what you and I are capable of doing? No one knows what we're capable of. All the power's omnipresent. That's within you, within me. Slow down. We're just starting to warm up. What we want to do is calm down. You can go at warp speed, stay very healthy if you stay relaxed. And that's really the secret. Now just imagine we expand our awareness a little more. Do you know what this program is doing for you today? It's expanding your awareness. That's what the program is all about. Every time you come to one of these programs, your awareness is widened. Your world starts to change. You think, oh yeah, that's pretty interesting. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Our awareness keeps changing. Do you know that no one knows how much money you're capable of earning? There's no one can even guess at what you're capable of earning. We want to become aware. We're like we are because we're not aware of how to do it better. We know how to do it better. Every person in this room intellectually knows how to do a better job than they're doing. Everyone in the room knows how to earn more than they're earning, but they're not doing it. You see, having the knowledge is not the deal. Having the knowledge. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, a school teacher would say to me, Bob, why'd you do that? I'd say, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You know better. I know. Why'd you do it? I don't know. I was in the Navy. Every commanding officer, Proctor, why did you do that? I don't know, sir. What do you mean you don't know? You know better. I know. Why'd you do it? I don't know. You see, I didn't know why I was doing things. Do you know that we do things that we don't want to do? It gives us results we don't want to get, yet we do them anyway. Do you know what addiction is? It's never getting enough of what you don't want. Yet a lot of people are addicted to results that they don't want. Why do we keep doing it? You see, I think when we start to see that, that's when we start to become aware of how to take control over our life. And that's really what we want to do. So you see, awareness is the big deal. We want to become aware of the obvious opportunities that are available to us. We are surrounded by opportunity. They're everywhere you go. There is an abundance, there's no shortage of opportunity. We can win, and we can win in a big way. Now, when we lack awareness, we miss the opportunity. I used to always say that, the trick is to be in the right place at the right time. I've been in the right place at the right time many times in my life, but I blew it. You know why? I wasn't aware that I was in the right place at the right time. I had to look back at it. Think of it. There's something else. Being aware that you're in the right place at the right time is not good enough. You've got to be aware that you're in the right place at the right time. Now, do you know that you're in the right place right now to get some information that will literally transform your life? And it's like I said, I've got license to brag about all this information because none of it's mine. I guarantee you, when you walk out of here at the end of the day, your head's going to be spinning because this is good stuff. What's holding most people back? Here's your answer. It's paradigms. That's sort of a buzzword, but that is really what stops us. It blinds us. Paradigms actually blind us. Now, I'm going to get into paradigms, how they're formed, and what they are, and then how to change them. You see, if you get into books on psychology or psychiatry or behavioral science, you'll get a definition of a paradigm, but it's usually so big and awkward that you don't understand it. The book was probably written for other psychiatrists or psychologists or behavioral scientists, and the average layperson doesn't understand it. I had great teachers. They broke everything down into the simplest possible form. And I found out that paradigm is nothing but a multitude of habits. When you wake up in the morning, you move into action. There's a routine to everything you do. There's one to everything I do. If you're living with someone, you could set your clock by that person, and they by you. When I put my foot in my pants, I put my right foot in first. I don't know which one you put in first, but I do know this. If I put my left in first, I'd probably fall over. I would be staggering all over the place. Why? It's programming. That's how programmed we are. We're programmed to drive the car the way we drive it. We're programmed to dress the way we dress, to walk the way we walk, to talk the way we talk. Our whole life is written program in here. And you know something? We didn't even write the program. We didn't even write the program. Do you know that they're other people's habits? You and I are the product of somebody else's habitual way of thinking. It's genetic and it's environmental. Why do you think you look like your relatives? Do you think it's an accident? It's what's programmed right into the genes at birth. Yet we grow up and we live that way. Why do we speak the language we speak? Do you know that if you had been taken out of your home and moved to the suburbs of Beijing when you were an infant, you'd be fluent in Chinese and have absolutely no knowledge of the English language? But by the same token, if somebody had been taken out of Beijing, put here, same thing would have happened. We're programmed with other people's prejudices. We're programmed with their limitations. Do you know that most of the limitations we've got, we don't even know where they started? I'll give you an example. When Linda and I first met, we were out shopping, and I said, you know what I would like is turnip. She said, okay. So I picked up a turnip. And she said, what are you going to do with that? I said, I'm going to eat it. Well, she said, I'm not eating that. Well, I said, why not? She said, that's the root of the turnip. I said, it's the what? I had never heard it called a root. It was always just a turnip. Well, I said, what do you eat? She said, we eat the green of the turnip. I said, my God, we give that to the pigs. Well, she said, we give the root to the pigs. I don't even know if I ever saw a turnip green. So here we are eating the root, give the green to the pigs. There they are, eating the green and give the root to the pigs. Now, I was raised in Northern Ontario. She was raised in Pensacola, Florida, and Birmingham, Alabama. Two totally different cultures. I put the turnip back. I thought, what the hell? There's no sense in fighting over a turnip. But I'm wandering around the store, and I'm thinking, who decided we'd eat the root of the turnip? I don't think my mother woke up one day and said, we're going to eat the root of the turnip. I wonder why she ate the root. I don't think her mother did. Then I started to think, I wonder how far back in our family I'd have to go to find out who decided we would eat the root of the turnip. How far back I'd have to go in her family to find out who would eat the green of the turnip. And then I started to think, it really doesn't matter. But the principle behind this is huge. Because most of our habits are like that. They really are. Now think of this. What do most people do when they begin to have financial trouble? This is paradigm talk that I'm dealing with here. What do? I'll tell you exactly what they do. They lower their standard of living to meet their income. That's a bad idea. That is a terrible idea. Timidity is not a strategy for the new economy. We're living in a new economy. Remember, you cannot move forward when you're cutting back. Yet, why do we do it? We're programmed. That's what we were taught to do. Anything else is being irresponsible. Well, let's think of this for a moment. Successful people take their income up to meet their standard of living. You know why? They understand how to do it. And if you don't understand how to do it, you're in bad shape. But when you do understand, you don't need to cut back. Never need. I've been working pretty closely with a fellow. In fact, we just come back from Europe. We were over all through Germany and over into Finland. And he had had a bit of trouble with money here just within the past year. And he was put his house up. He was going to sell it. I said, what the hell are you selling your house for? Well, he said, I can't afford to keep it. I said, you can't afford to sell it.